Vikings versus Seahawks, GMG pregame show. The gang is back. With me tonight, we have Drewster, the master of the bass guitar. And we have Rhino, straight from the beat fields of North Dakota, to join us to talk the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings in prime time at Seattle for the 87th time in a row. The Vikings go and travel, and we'll meet them. Now, obviously, playing outdoors in prime time has not been good for the Vikings. I don't think Mike Zimmer has beat Pete Carroll in a regular season contest since he's been here, but both teams have issues this season. Those issues tend to be that their defenses suck. Now, the question will be, how much of an improvement on the defensive side will be needed to make the difference against the offenses? But first, Drew, how are you doing today?
Doing better than I was yesterday.
Why is that?
The loss of Eddie Van Halen really hit me pretty hard. And it was some of these guys, some of these musicians and athletes we knew when we were kids, they're part of our childhood. So, and I grew up with no father. So, my father wasn't in my life. And so you kind of use Bud Grant, Jimmy Page, Eddie Van Halen. You know, these kind of guys are kind of your role models. So after I heard about the news yesterday, it just got gloomier and gloomier. And it was like, man, I'm sitting with my wife going, this is really tough for me. So a big loss in my life, but it's good to be on with you guys. And this is part of the move to the next day. And Eddie will always be with us. His music will always be with us. And it's good to see you guys again. And we got a win last week.
We did. Speaking of which,
they're off the schneid.
Rhino, we haven't heard from you. What did you think of that win against the Texans?
Well, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. You know, Drew and I both said this last week. You know, if we were going to get a win, the Texans were probably our best shot. And turns out after that, it was so bad that Bill O'Brien got fired, like leaving the stadium or whatever it was. Being he was the coach and the GM, he had to call himself into his office and fire himself. And then he had to go to the owner's office and get fired a second time. So,
who were the two guys on this show that said the Vikings were going to win out of the four of us?
I do believe that was you and me.
I believe. Okay,
it was.
Get that straightened out right up front.
I mean, the defense made improvements. I thought Gladney played a pretty good game. You know, he got burned once or twice there deep, but you can't expect perfection out of him. He definitely. Mm-hmm. No, he definitely played a lot better. I mean, Justin Jefferson, he balled out once again. Like we kind of talked about, he's right there with the league leaders in receiving yards and everything now. And if we had played him the first 2 weeks, he'd be leading by a significant margin right now. The offense looked better. Cousins didn't have any turnovers, which was a big thing.
Flip really liked that one.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that, when he threw that one to Rudy that he one-hand catch and everything, we were talking on our game feed, it's how many of us thought that damn ball was going to be friggin' picked off when he threw it off his back foot and just kind of alley-ooped it there. And I'm like, he throws it, and I'm like, what the hell are you? Oh, hey, we caught it.
Well, I thought he was throwing it out of bounds, and then I was instantly upset that it was landing inbounds and was going to be intercepted. But Thank God for Rudy in his hands.
I mean, that guy is making acrobatic catches seem, almost commonplace. But
Rhino.
Yeah.
How much are you thinking this was a well-deserved win, or how much of you is thinking it was the Texans and their sorry-ass team?
That's a tough call. I mean, 50-50 at best, maybe. I'd not,
I mean, I don't want to downplay the victory, but the Texans
I don't either. But the Texans, or at least to this point, have been a flaming dumpster fire. Now, firing the head coach after week 4, maybe that lights a fire underneath them and they go on a run. They've got talent on their team too, but
sure.
Romeo Cornell was named their interim head coach.
Right.
You got a 100-yard receiver, another 100-yard receiver, and a 100-yard rusher, and you have to squeak out the win. Seems like it should be a 20-point victory, shouldn't it? I mean,
but if the defense was playing up to snuff, and our issue, as well as Seattle's, is with the defense. We've got all those youngsters. We have all those starters that are out, and them learning. And defense has been behind the league-wide. There's only a few, less than a handful, that are doing well, and those are guys that have been around playing with each other for a long time, like the Steelers is one. But most of them are way behind, and scoring is way up, which has got the NFL all excited because
the youngsters are walking into the fire this week.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yep.
Woo!
One of the highest rated, if not the highest rated. I brought up the numbers in PFF, and I know how you guys feel. But Russell Wilson, I don't know if he's the number 1 ranked, but he is easily top 3, and he's in the high 90s in his grades. He is unbelievable. He is a one-man show, and he can destroy a defense and a defensive backfield. And that does not bode well for Sunday night.
Look at the wide receivers, too, man.
But, with Wilson, you don't need PFF rankings or anything. The guy's playing like a freaking Madden game right now. I mean, what do you have, we had 2 weeks in a row for sure that he threw 5 touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's up there for the all-time record after 4 weeks. I think he's tied with Manning or close to Manning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
he is good.
But it used to be with Seattle, you dealt with their running game, and of course Russell Wilson and maybe one wideout. They got Metcalf, they got Lockett, and now they got this David Moore guy who's shredding. They got 3 really good wide receivers. So the Vikings can't just blanket one guy. It's going to be this is a big task, big tough.
This is going to be a team effort, and it goes the same way on the other side because they have Jamal Adams out, they have a couple of their corners out, and they've been horrible on the defensive side, and they've been giving up as much points as, if not more. They've given up more explosive plays than.
How are they 4-0?
Because of Russell Wilson.
They have the worst defense in the NFL statistically. They're last in overall defense. They're last in passing defense at 400 yards a game. Mm-hmm. And they're 4-0.
Yep.
It's unreal. That doesn't happen. That's really rare that you're last in the league in offense and you're 4-0.
Or in defense. And, that's what happens when you have an elite quarterback that has the it factor.
Yeah, but now their run defense is pretty good, aren't they? Like top 5 in run defense, something like that?
They're third in rushing defense. They give up 76 yards a game, but they give up 400 in the air. Okay, they give up 401 in the air on average. Kirk Cousins throws for 200. So 200, 400. So you're figuring something's got to give in there.
If we can get maybe 300 yards in the middle, maybe we'll be okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking also, Rhino. But yeah, they're third in rushing defense, but overall they're last in the league. They've given up over 1,900 yards in 4 games.
Yeah, which means we're probably, Cook might have a little bit tougher sledding this week. We probably are going to have to air it out a little bit, which means Jefferson, Thielen, and, I was listening to Paul Allen's show here yesterday, I think, when I was out running around the truck, and he had Kubiak on there, and they asked him about, Irv Smith and Kubiak flat out said, yeah, I need to get him more involved. He's been playing with us for a year and a half, and he's a damn good blocker, but we don't throw it to him. So, he had, one target last week?
Yeah, but they were bringing him in to block to help with pass protection.
Let me ask you guys this. Can the Vikings win if their running game gets shut down? Because I haven't seen them do it with the last 2 years.
Well, this is interesting. I listened to the Athletics Seahawks podcast today, right? And they had Arif Hassan on from the Viking side to talk the game. The Seahawks have prided themselves this season. They know their defense sucks, and they've given up just gobs and gobs of yards in the air. But they've shut down most of the number one running backs and kept them under 100 yards. Now, your question, can we win if Dalvin Cook is held under 100? And the answer to me is Kirk Cousins in God mode in October, and is he going to throw up, 50 passes?
He's going to throw up?
Well, I throw up will work too. But is he going to throw
plays like
50
he usually does
passes?
in prime time, we're going to throw up.
That makes me throw up.
Is he going to throw 50 passes?
He might have to.
And
can he win a game? Can he win a game with it on his shoulders instead of having to have Cook carry his jock for him? That's my question, because that's the game plan Seattle's going to have. They're going to put it all on Cousins.
Not if it comes down to the last 2 minutes, which it looks like this game will be a shootout. And we expect high scoring. The over-under is presently almost 58 points for the over-under.
Yeah.
Cook is due there. In 2018, he had 55 rushing yards. Last year, he had 29 rushing yards against Seattle. 2018, he had 55 up in Seattle, a Sunday night game. And then last year on the Monday night game, he had 29. So he's had 84 rushing yards the last 2 times he's played Seattle. So if anybody's due for a big game against Seattle, it's probably Cook. But they do shut down the run. So it's pretty obvious if you're going up against the Vikings how to stop them offensively. They're going to put it all on Cousins. Can he get it done?
Yeah.
Drew.
Conversely, on what you were saying there, Drew, they're shutting Cook down and that kind of stuff. I mean, we've had good defenses the last 3 years when we face them, and we're still giving up 200 and some odd yards on the ground to these guys. Now our rush defense is, where are we, about 29th in rush, or 24th in rush defense. So,
yeah.
I mean,
2 years ago we gave up 214, and then they came in. We were up there last year, and they gave up 218. That's 400 plus. I mean, they did it to us twice in a row. So Here's the thing that's kind of weird about the strategy on this one, guys, is if Carroll's smart, he's going to come right at Zimmer with the same kind of run it down your throat and win the game that way. But I've noticed with Seattle, they've changed their philosophy a little this year. Mm-hmm. And Carroll has changed his philosophy over what he's been doing the last 6 years. Carroll likes to run it 90% of the time, carry the game, and then if he gets in trouble, he has Russ Wilson run around in the fourth quarter, make 100 plays, and pull the game out of his ass. That's what he does. This year, for some reason, either Carroll's been talked into it or he realized he needs to do this. They're cutting Wilson off the leash in the first quarter of these games. That's why he's putting up such crazy. I mean, it's a smart idea. Why wouldn't you let Wilson just be himself, right?
Right.
But the proof is in the numbers. Seattle's rush offense is currently 17th, and they're usually top 5 or 6.
Well, they've got one of their halfbacks out with a shoulder.
They're changing their philosophy and letting Wilson take off right the first quarter. They're not waiting for that fourth quarter magic again. They're letting him just play, which is a smart thing. It doesn't bode well for us, but the Vikings have to put up. They're going to have to put up 35 or 40 points to win this. And if Cook can't do it, you're relying on Cousins to go off.
And we're going. We got 2 very, very good wide receivers to do that. Wide receiver 3, Chad Beebe, Olabisi Johnson. Who knows?
We had 2 good wide receivers 2 years ago, and we didn't score until 2 minutes left in the game. We're shut out all, so it doesn't matter. We got 2 good wide receivers. You got to get them the fucking ball.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Hopefully, Kubiak said something this week about he realized or saw something after the first 2 games, and he's like, no, I'm changing this up. And that's led to more production in the last 2. Hopefully, he's seeing the same thing and looks at the specific Seahawks defense and how to defeat that. Because it's going to take, like I talked to Drew earlier, I suspect this will be a 38-35 game. It'd be fun to watch, but, I just hope that the Vikings have a 2-touchdown lead going into the, late in the 4th, so we don't have to rely upon Kirk Cousins.
2-touchdown lead late in the 4th. You drinking from the fountain of fucking Yukon Jack yourself? What's going on with you, dude?
When the hell was the last time we had a 2-touchdown lead in the 4th quarter?
The only thing we got going for us is the last 2 games in Seattle. I don't think they have near the defense they've had the last 2 years.
No, they don't. And
last year on that Monday night game, the Vikings could only muster 78 yards on the ground. So Seattle played them how they wanted to play them. They left it all up to Cousins, and he couldn't get it done. It was 37-30, but it still seemed like we lost by more. I mean, it seemed like we're out of that game too.
Yeah, because I think some of it was a little bit of garbage time points and stuff at the end that made it look a little closer, maybe. But
yeah, this is going to be a tough one, man. It's
going to be a test.
There's no fans there, right?
Zero fans.
So yeah, they don't have to worry about the 12th man noise.
Right. Now the maximum in Seattle, according to the local guy, was they can do up to like 250, and they're not even bothering with that.
Come up with your own thing. They stole that from Texas A&M. Get your own shit. Come on, Seattle, 12th man. That's not yours.
Well,
they stole it, and then they copyrighted it.
Yeah, they call their fan base the 12th man because there wasn't a single person that was a Seattle Seahawks fan before 2012. when they got good, then everybody was a Seahawks fan, But,
jeez. This is going to be a hell of a game.
Have you got any other numbers for us, Drew?
The other numbers that stands out to me is we're now the 5th best rushing team in the league. I don't know if that... So it's 5th best rushing team going against the 3rd best defensive team against the rush. Really, the only other thing that stands out is Seahawks passing offense is 3rd, and our passing defense is 29th. Holy shit. That is kind of frightening.
What's our passing offense?
Our passing offense is 28th, only 207 yards a game.
Damn. What's their defense?
Their pass defense is last.
Isn't it?
Last.
Yeah. It's last. They give up over 401 yards average a game through the air.
Well,
so if Cousins can't go off this week, he can't do it.
We talked last week, and I was getting to that last week the Texans' run defense was so bad. The obvious course of action was to run Dalvin Cook, and we did, and it was successful. Well, with the pass defense being so bad this week, the obvious attack is on, via the pass game. The question is, will Kirk step up? Will he continue in God mode in October? Or will he revert to bad Kirk?
Well, we haven't seen God mode yet. I mean, I don't
know what that means. What does that
I don't
mean?
necessarily consider 260 yards and 1 touchdown God mode, but
no
interceptions, but
last
it's pretty sad when we considered no turnovers being a god.
Well, you remember last October,
Michigan State. When was he in God mode? Tell me when.
Last October, he went into God mode, and we ran off 4 straights, and he was playing out of his mind.
The Raiders, the Giants, the Lions.
Hey, if it works, it works.
The Jets, I think, was the other one.
The Jets.
Speaking of some bad teams, we've already got the head coach for the Texans fired. How many more head coaches can the Vikings get fired this season?
Well, I think there's probably a good chance of next week.
They might get their own fired.
That's possible.
We don't play the Jets, so Adam Gase is sweet.
We have Atlanta.
Terrible.
Yeah, there's a real chance that Dan Quinn might not even make the game next week. I'm not sure when Atlanta's bye week is, but unless they make a drastic turnaround here this week and next, I don't know that I see him surviving past their bye.
There's also Detroit, possibly Chicago.
No, Chicago's not firing their coach.
No, I think they'll try to clean up their quarterback mess next year. And
okay, well, they did start out 3-1, but
Nagy's still got some rope left there.
Yeah,
I
mean they're 3-1, but they're a bad 3-1.
The Lions got to the end of the year. I think everybody might be safe except Gase. I think he's kind of walking on thin ice. But you know what? The Vikings have a chance to beat a quality opponent instead of just beating king of the dipshits and beating the crappy teams. This game is huge. I don't feel good about it, but I think it does come down to Dalvin Cook, believe it or not, even though Kirk Cousins has to make a showing. If Cook can rush for 100 yards, that's something none of us expect. So that only can up our chances. Mm-hmm. But they shut him down for 29 yards last year. So they know Carroll's getting them ready right now. Stack the box and stop him and let that quarterback try to beat you.
Right.
It's just going to be tough on the defensive end, or the defensive side of the ball, because we don't have a lot of. Oh man, we just get our defensive stats. I'm not even going to read them. I'm too embarrassed. I mean,
they're bad.
29th overall. We give up 420. We give up 426 a game. They give up 477. So we're talking 900 yards in this game. We could see.
And we probably could very easily see that because we know Wilson's going to put up numbers at all, and if Kirk can put up numbers, it could get really. We could be looking at like that game we had against the Rams a couple of years ago, where it was like 30 or 40 something to 38 or something like that, whatever it was.
Well, and their offensive line isn't real good either, so there's a chance.
No, they've actually given up more sacks than we have. I think one more. They've given up. They've allowed 11. We've allowed 10.
But there's chances at more pressures. Odenigbo keeps looking better. He's getting more and more pressures. He hasn't got home yet with the sacks, but he is getting more and more pressures. Ngakwe is, he gets his 1 or 2 sacks. Hopefully he doesn't slow his motor at any point in time. I saw that a little bit last week and went, what the heck? And hopefully guys on the interior.
DJ Wanham got his first sack.
Wanham got his first sack.
This game almost feels like we got to be +2 or +3 on the turnover line to win.
And that's hard so far this year.
We need to get a play like we had last week where Mike Boone knocked their punt returner into next Tuesday.
That was sweet.
And got that fumble that Chisnick recovered.
Yep, and that got them.
I should probably add to that. It's probably not just the turnover ratio. Sure, you'd like to win that, but if you get a turnover and do nothing with it, what good is the turnover?
Right. That's a very, very valid point. Yes.
So let me add on to that. Get the turnover and then apply
score
it to
points.
Something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
you have to get at least 3, but you should be getting 7 when you get a turnover.
Mm-hmm. But Booty won the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Partly because of that hit. That was sweet.
And that hit was more brutal than the one that Harrison Smith got ejected for.
That's the way the rules are written.
So they're last in offense, and they're 4-0 and in first place, and we get the Special Teams Player of the Week.
Small victories, Drew. Small victories.
Patience, my friend. Patience. Hey, if perchance the Vikings pull this one out and then win the following week, we're back in it. We're already beyond the tank for Trevor mode.
Oh, I love me some David Stefano.
We're not going to make the tank for Trevor, but we can do the lose for Lance yet.
Yes.
So we're good.
And speaking of Lance, saw this week, Rhino, you posted that he is declared for the draft this spring. He will not be playing spring football. He will go to Indianapolis if they do indeed have the combine there and perform for us all on NFL Network. That's cool.
Yep. We had our one game that we get this fall. We had that last weekend, and I mean there was some definite rust. You could tell that, and I don't know if he was a little bit overhyped because he had 25 NFL scouts there watching the game and all this other stuff. But the first half he didn't look real great. He was airmailing a lot of throws and stuff like that, and threw his first interception in his collegiate career. But second half he calmed down quite a bit. I mean he was through for 149 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then ran 15 times for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
we need to have a scout on the show to tell us how they evaluate quarterbacks when they're playing at the top 5 college competition. What the difference is of when you're comparing guys. I mean, how is that done? That would be interesting for me to hear how they evaluate.
Yeah.
Against the not to take anything away from his quarterback skills because of the teams he's playing, but they're obviously not Alabama. I mean, they're not playing top quality teams like that. So, does he get a break on his evaluation, or?
Well, I just happen to know a person to ask who is a scout.
Well, fuck, ask him.
You've been holding out on us, Dave. Come on here.
Well, it's J.R. Reed. He's got the job with, I gotta remember the website. I'm bad. But he's the one that does the draft sims all the time. He's one of the scouts there. And I will ask him, if you're playing in
a lower division, do you have to play extra good to be considered a first-round talent?
Generally, I think
that's it. I mean, but, last year Lance did that. First team in FCS history to go 16-0. It threw for 28 touchdowns and ran for 14 more.
So take all that, 16-0, 28 touchdowns, and translate that to the Big Ten, and then give me the numbers.
Right. So,
and it could still be 16-0 and.
What? Well, wouldn't have been 16-0 because they don't play. They're not going to play 16 games
but
in the FBS.
You don't, unless you got to compare. Yeah, he's going against better defenses in the Big Ten. But is his skills that good that he could beat those in the Big Ten?
And that's the thing. I mean, his decision making is usually pretty spot on. He surveys the field. He looks for looks at all of his different reads. And if it's nothing there, he's going to take off and run with it.
Is he better than Wentz? Didn't Wentz go there?
He's a better player than Wentz is in my opinion.
Is he?
Better athlete.
Because Wentz isn't exactly lighting it up, but he's no scrub either. I mean, Wentz isn't a total scrub. He's not bad. I mean, he's having a bad year, but he's not a bad quarterback.
Wentz's problem is he still, when he was in FCS, he was kind of like Dave was talking about. You're at that point where you're so much better than everybody else, you feel like you're invincible. And I was listening to the local guy that does a noontime sports show in town here. He talks to one of the guys in a sportscaster or whatever from Philadelphia. He has on the show every week to talk Carson Wentz, and the guy said the same thing. It's like Wentz still thinks he can do everything like he could in college, so his decision making isn't always the best when he's playing against cornerbacks and everything that are 3 times as good as what he saw most of the time in college or whatever. The stuff where he tried to force it into a window this big before, he has to force it into a window like this, or he's going to get it picked off. Or
does he have to sit a full season when he gets drafted, Lance?
I think it would do him good too. I mean, the kid has started 17 games.
I got a question. I asked Ruby, and she kind of just gave me the I don't know look. So I'll ask you guys: Why Miami's 1-3? Why isn't Tua playing?
That's a very good question.
I mean, wouldn't you play him at this point?
Is his knee still not 100%? That's about the only thing I can think of.
No, I heard he was medically cleared, but it's not like they're
his hip.
I mean, let's be honest, man.
Hip, yeah.
Miami's not going to win the division. Put him in there. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out. See if you guys thought it was kind of weird too. I think he should be out there.
Although they gave Seattle pretty much all they could handle last week, which I was kind of surprised about. So. Seattle had their letdown game last week instead of against us this week. So
hey, what's the cornerback situation for this game, David? Hughes came back, right? I mean, give me the 3 starters.
Hughes is back. He played today.
Yes, I'm doing this for the game of Skull. I'm using your information.
Hill was limited with a foot injury. You have Dantzler was healthy.
Gladney.
And Gladney. If I'm I don't know what Zim's going to do.
What the hell are they going to do, Dave? Think of those names you just told me covering those receivers. What the hell are the plan going to be?
You got Gladney, Hughes, Dantzler.
Oh, Dantzler.
I think get it over Hill, but I may be wrong. And you've got to trust them to do the best they can, knowing that they're going to lose on, 1 or 2, 3 plays in a game.
But I mean, you look at it that way, though. I mean, we've seen how. I mean, Holton Hill played better last week. I mean, the first couple weeks of the season, he was god awful. He was better last week. Now, Hughes hasn't played real well either. So I mean, I'm not overly enthusiastic about him being in there, but honestly at this point, I want to see Dantzler and Gladney starting, and then
experience factor,
and then mix it in with Hughes and Hill as the nickel and the when we have to do some swap outs.
The last time Zimmer was up against a wall with the secondary was that playoff game against the Saints, and I thought he was going to get his ass handed to him, and he had a game plan for Breeze. So Zimmer did it once. You got to have faith that he could figure something out with. And 2 years ago, Russell Wilson had 70 yards passing, so Zimmer had a plan for him. Yeah. I mean, they ran it for 6,000 yards, but Russell Wilson only got 72 yards.
Right,
passing.
But I mean, and typically Zimmer's defenses have done okay against Russell Wilson. He hasn't completely gone nuts on us anyway.
We haven't beat him yet, though. But.
No.
He's a running quarterback, and they've usually used Anthony Barr to spy. We don't have Anthony Barr this year. And he's planned against what he does to shut down that pass, and we've had the pressure from the outside with Griffin and Hunter, which we don't have this year. So we'll see.
Carroll ran it for 200 plus in 18 against us, and then he ran for 200 plus in 19. I kind of hope Carroll has the same game plan, because let him run it, because that'll eat the clock. We want to shorten the game. I don't want to get into a slinging match with Russell fucking Wilson against Kirk Cousins, because I don't feel good about that. Somebody, that's Johnny Ringo. That's Johnny Ringo against Doc Holliday right there. I mean, I don't want to.
But the problem is when you get to that point, though, then they're going to end up with 35 minutes of time of possession to 15 minutes, or
Well, and there's a key to the game, Drew, that you love. It's probably going to be the team that has the most time of possession that turns out to be victorious.
I guess the better way for me to put it is, I wouldn't mind Seattle getting a touchdown if they ran 9 minutes off the clock. I don't think we could give them a touchdown, 80-yard touchdowns and 70-yard touchdowns, and that's not the game I think the Vikings want to play. So I'm kind of hoping Seattle has some long drives, because lesser the possessions in this game, the better. It's how my heart feels about it. I mean, who beats Russell Wilson in shootouts when this team scores, next team scores, this team scores? It's like,
and it takes 3 minutes to drive. Yeah.
Yeah, right. If they go down and eat 8 minutes off the clock and get a touchdown, whatever, dude. As long as we can match it.
By the way, I just want to let you know, Drew, I just shot a message to Jordan Reed from the Draft Network. That's the website, everybody. It's the best one when it comes to the draft.
I know who you're talking about now. I looked at a lot of his draft write-ups.
Yep. If he'll come on and talk about specifically Lance, but also about how they evaluate lesser than the big conference.
I'd love to soak that info in. I would love that. That'd be great.
All right. With that, is there anything else on this game you guys want to talk about? It's Sunday night, prime time.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you basically have the laundry list of shit that always goes wrong for us. We're in
Well,
prime
they play
time.
on turf instead of grass, so you don't have that.
Right, but we're in Seattle for the 87th year in a row, on prime time for the 86th year in a row.
Oh, shit. Huh?
We have Cousins who historically does not show up for these kind of games. He's done it once or twice in the entire 3 years he's been here. We've got the third-ranked rush defense on their end, and the running game is our strongest suit. I mean, when you start looking at it objectively like that, it doesn't bode well for us. But
But it's 2020, and anything can go sideways in 2020.
Yeah, maybe, or if Russell Wilson gets COVID before Sunday night, maybe we have a chance.
Oh, no.
Channeling.
I'm not. Disclaimer: I'm not wishing COVID on anybody. So,
channeling a little Ted Glover here, I'll say, listen, gentlemen, we're playing a winning team. We're playing on the road. Kirk Cousins doesn't play well in these games. I see Seattle scored 40 points. I don't think we're going to win this game. I may be channeling Ted, but that's exactly how I feel. I don't feel good about this game, and that's not because I'm not a fan. I'm just going by what I've seen in the past. That's all we can really go by. I mean, last year we lost 37-30. It didn't seem that close, and we had a pick six. I can't remember who got it, but somebody had a pick six on Russell Wilson.
Well, the present line is...
One of the linebackers.
That's one of the linebackers, yeah. Was it Wilson?
I think it was
Who's
Wilson.
had a decent season so far. The present line is 7.5. I've seen it as high as 10.
Pretty low right now. I'd say
For the
10.
Sale.
10 is probably...
At 10, if one of the major books would do it, I'd consider putting money down on 10.
2 days ago, I had 43-24 Seattle, and I crunched some more numbers today, and I'm at 38-27 Seattle. So I can only go with what my numbers spit out. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling something in the same, in that 42, 45 to 30, somewhere in there. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think we're both going to score over 30, but I just don't feel good about our chances of stopping Wilson. I don't.
That's totally reasonable. That's reasonable. See, we need Reggie on here to tell us the Vikings are going to win 58-3. That's what we need.
That's what we need. And then Reggie to pull out the barbecue ribs that he's been smoking all day long. Oh my!
Ripper!
You would believe how that makes my mouth water. Anyways, with that, any last words there, Rhino?
I kind of summed it up. I've been saying it all, the first 3 weeks after we got embarrassed out in the field, that they needed to come out and play with some fire, some pride, and, act like professionals. They did that last week against Houston. Whether it was, Houston's just a god-awful dumpster fire of a team or not, but, the team showed fire. More guys showed up to play. You had Adam Thielen doing his white guy dad interpretation of Justin Jefferson's dance on the sidelines there after he scored the touchdown. So they were having some fun. They were playing. They were they were coming together, and they looked like they had a little pride in their game, and that's what I've been asking for all season. If we can build on that, the defense is starting to come along a little bit. Like I said, Gladney is looking pretty decent. I guess more than like I said a few minutes ago, I don't expect to win here, but if we can at least show improvement again in other areas and be competitive in this game, you guys know my thought about moral victories. There's no such thing as a freaking moral victory. Those are for losers. But, if we can take some positives out of this game and look like we belong, I'll be satisfied this week. Just like I said, keep showing improvement, and about all I can say, I guess.
Drew?
The Vikings need to come out and become unchained. They need to have some might as well jump in their step. they might as well go, whoa, 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 Russell's crying, and they certainly have to start running with the devil to win this one.
Absolutely.
Go Vikings, go Skull, Eddie Van Halen, you fucking rock. I'm going to miss you, and good show, you guys.
Yep. Hey, and everybody, remember, this is your pregame show, the first one of the weekend. Enjoy. Feel free to comment. We do answer them. We do look at them. And we look forward to seeing you next week. But we also look forward to seeing you live after the game for GMG.
Little girl from Cherry Live, how could you be so
in the raw. Skull, everybody.
I don't want to be no
Have a good one, guys.
Let's win this game. Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody.